A funeral pyre burns a dead man. Worries and anxieties burn a living person.
Wow. Okay. That is, that's heavy. But it's accurate, isn't it?
It's a bit of a punch in the gut to start things off, I know. It's an old Indian saying, a subhashita, that I found in the stack of notes for today.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically just summarizes the crisis we're talking about. We spend so much time and energy and money trying to keep our bodies alive.
Right, trying to stay healthy.
But we often let our minds just burn us alive from the inside out.
That imagery of burning while living is really visceral. And it sets the stage perfectly for the material we are diving into today.
It does.
We are looking at Learn to Live, specifically Volume 2, by Swami Jagadatmananda. And look, I know what you might be thinking.
A book by a Swami.
Exactly. Is this going to be a sermon? Are we about to get preached at?
Right. I think we're all a little allergic to being preached at, especially when it comes to self-help.
For sure.
But looking at your notes and the excerpts, this feels different. It feels less like a religious text and more like, I don't know, an operating manual.
That is the perfect way to frame it. Swami Jagadatmananda wasn't just, sitting on a cloud contemplating the ether. He was a senior monk in the Ramakrishna order, sure.
Okay.
But he spent his life in the trenches. He was out in Ponape in the Kodagu district of India, leading a life of intense service.
So real-world stuff.
Totally. We're talking about running hospitals, organizing vocational training, dealing with the poorest of the poor.
So he wasn't theorizing about suffering. He was looking it in the eye every single day.
Exactly. He passed away fairly recently in 2018, so this is modern wisdom born from decades of seeing how people break and how they heal. And the central premise of his work is that the human mind is essentially a factory.
A factory. I like that metaphor.
Yeah. It's a machine that never stops running.
Yeah.
But the problem, according to the Swami, is that for most of us, the factory is malfunctioning.
It's manufacturing poison stress, cortisol, worry, anxiety.
Right.
So the goal of this deep dive is to figure out how to retool that factory, how to get it to stop pumping out poison and start manufacturing ambrosia.
Ambrosia being?
Strength, peace, resilience.
Ambrosia sounds a lot better than the cortisol cocktail I usually wake up with.
Doesn't it?
So if we're going to retool this factory, where do we start? Does he start with the soul or meditation or something like that?
Surprisingly, no. He starts with the body.
The body.
He starts with the hardware.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because we often hear it's all in your head. But the Swami seems to be arguing that it's all in your body too.
Precisely. He challenges the idea that mental worry is just a mood. He asserts that the mind is often the genesis of physical disease.
The actual origin point?
Yes. And he digs into some fascinating data here. For instance, he quotes Dr. Charles Mayo.
Of the Mayo Clinic. Big name.
Huge. And Dr. Mayo made this fascinating observation after decades of medicine. He said he never saw anyone die of hard work.
Yeah. You can work 18 hours a day, and if you love it, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But he saw many, many people die from anxiety.
That is a distinction we often miss. We think the workload is what kills us, but it's the worry about the workload.
It's the friction, not the movement. The source material also references experiments by Russian scientists back in 1956.
Okay.
And they were able to prove that worry could physically cause stomach ulcers in monkeys.
Wow.
And then Dr. John A. Schindler provides this staggering statistic in the text.
Yeah.
He claims that the genesis of 50% of all diseases is in the mind.
50%.
50. We're talking psychosomatic disorders, hypertension, asthma, skin disorders. The factory in the mind is pumping out chemicals that literally eat away at the stomach lining or spike the blood pressure.
There was one story in the research notes that really drove this home for me. It was labeled The Silent Agony.
Oh, yes.
It sounded like a medical drama.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it illustrates this mind-body link better than any statistic. So there's this man who suddenly falls violently ill. She starts vomiting, feels incredibly giddy and dizzy, becomes totally incapacitated. He can't even stand up.
And I assume the doctors ran all the tests.
They did. They checked for viruses, food poisoning, the works. Couldn't find a single physical cause. A total medical mystery.
So what was it?
Well, they started asking about his life. And it turned out this man had stood guarantor for a friend's bank loan.
Money, the classic stressor.
Right. But it gets worse. That friend had gotten into a terrible accident and was hospitalized in critical condition.
Oh, no.
The man wasn't sick because of a bacteria. He was sick because he was terrified his friend would die, and he would be on the hook for a debt he couldn't possibly pay.
That is a terrifying spot to be in, to be
It
fair.
is. But here is the kicker. The moment the friend started to recover, the moment the news came that he would survive, the sickness vanished.
Just like that.
Instantly. The vomiting stopped. The dizziness cleared.
It wasn't a germ, it was a thought.
Exactly. The thought, "I am ruined," was literally poisoning his system.
That's terrifying, but also kind of empowering. Because if the thought caused it, maybe a different thought can cure it.
That's the ambrosia concept. But before we get to the cure, we have to look at the other ways we poison ourselves.
Okay.
If worry is a slow drip of poison, the Swami identifies something else as an explosion. He calls anger the gateway to hell.
Subtle.
He doesn't mince words. But physiologically, he's right. When you get truly angry, rage angry, your heart rate can shoot up to 220 beats per minute.
That high.
That's a dangerous level.
Yeah.
Blood vessels can actually rupture. You are physically breaking your own infrastructure.
Okay, so we know anger physically destroys us, but this is where I always get stuck. If I'm never supposed to get angry, am I just supposed to be a doormat?
Right.
If someone is treating me poorly or if I'm in a dangerous situation, don't I need that anger?
This is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And frankly, this is where a lot of peace and love advice just falls apart in the real world.
It does.
But the Swami answers it with a parable that I think is the absolute highlight of this text. It's the story of the snake and the holy man. Have you heard this one?
I don't think so. Lay it on me.
So picture a lush green meadow near a village. And in this meadow lives a massive, venomous snake. And this thing is a menace.
Okay.
It bites everyone who takes a shortcut through the field. The villagers are terrified of it.
Standard villain.
Right. But then a Brahmachari, a holy man, needs to cross the meadow. The snake lunges at him, hood flared, ready to strike. But the holy man doesn't flinch.
Brave man.
He uses a mantra to calm the beast. And then, seeing the snake is paused, he gives a lecture. He says, "Why are you doing this? You're accumulating so much bad karma. Stop biting people."
And the snake listens.
He does. It's a total conversion experience. The holy man leaves, and the snake takes the advice literally. He stops biting. He stops hunting. He becomes completely passive.
I feel like there's a but coming. This snake eating dust doesn't sound sustainable.
A very big but. The local cowherd boys notice the change. They realize this terrifying creature is now just limp. It won't strike back.
Oh, no.
So being teenage boys, they start messing with it. They grab it by the tail. They smash it against rocks just to see if it will move.
Oh, that's just brutal.
It is. The snake is beaten to a pulp. It drags itself into its whole, barely alive, skeletal suffering.
Yeah.
A year later, the holy man comes back through the village. He sees this broken creature and asks, "What happened to you?"
And I bet the snake claimed the advice.
Exactly. The snake whispers, "Master, I followed your advice. I didn't bite anyone. I practiced nonviolence, and look where it got me."
It's a fair point. He did what he was told.
But the holy man just shakes his head. He looks at the snake and delivers the punchline of the entire book. He says, "You fool! I asked you not to bite, but I didn't forbid you to hiss."
I didn't forbid you to hiss. I love that.
That is the key insight. The Swami is teaching us about the balance between nonviolence and self-protection. You must show strength, the hiss, to ward off wicked people or protect your boundaries.
So you can show the capacity for danger.
Exactly. But you shouldn't harbor the internal venom, the bite that rots you from the inside.
So hissing is the boundary. Biting is the hate.
Precisely. If your boss is disrespectful, you hiss. You firmly state that it's not acceptable, but you don't go home and drink poison by replaying the argument in your head all night. That's biting.
That is such a useful distinction. I'm going to use that. Time to hiss.
Yeah.
So we have worry, the slow poison, and anger, the explosion. The Swami identifies one more monster in the factory. He calls fear the great vampire.
That is a vivid image. He calls it a vampire because fear sucks the vitality, the blood out of your life, even if the bad thing never happens.
The fear of it drains you anyway.
It drains your energy just the same. And he makes a very interesting distinction between actual danger and the conception of fear.
He uses the plank analogy for this, right?
Yes, I love this one because you can test it right now in your mind. Imagine a plank of wood, 1 foot wide, 30 feet long. If I put it on the ground and asked you to walk across it, could you do it?
Easily. I could run across it. No problem.
No problem at all. Now, take that exact same plank, same width, same wood, and suspend it between 2 buildings, 20 stories up. Can you walk across it now?
Absolutely not. My knees would just lock up.
But why? Your physical ability to walk in a straight line hasn't changed. The width of the plank hasn't changed. What changed?
The consequence. The picture in my head of falling.
Exactly. The imagination of the fall has paralyzed the ability to walk. The Swami argues that most of our fears are like that raised plank.
We have the ability to handle it.
We do, but our imagination creates a disaster that hasn't happened yet.
It's the tragedy of imagination. We use our own creativity to scare ourselves.
There's a heartbreaking story in the text that shows how this plays out, specifically with children. It's the story of the sociopath boy.
Oh, this one was heavy.
It was. This boy was acting out in these horrific ways, stealing, threatening his parents with violence, even defecating near neighbors' houses.
Unbelievable.
And the psychiatrist labeled him a sociopath. It seemed like a lost cause, a bad seed.
Which is a label that basically writes a kid off forever.
Right. But the Swami points to the root cause. It wasn't that the boy was born evil. It was that he was terrified.
Terrified.
He was starving for love and patience, and his environment had denied him that. His aggression was a panic response. It wasn't malice. It was fear in disguise.
That really challenges how we label people. How much of bad behavior in our kids, our partners, even our coworkers is actually just fear in disguise?
It raises such an important question. The text mentions a woman who was terrified. Her children would be run over by cars every single day. She wasn't protecting them. She was paralyzing herself and them with an imaginary tragedy.
So we have the diagnosis, the factory is broken, we've got worry, anger, and fear running the show. Now we need the repair manual. How do we fix this?
So the Swami proposes this mix of psychological practicality and spiritual discipline. It starts with redefining faith.
Okay.
And before you tune out, he's not talking about blind religious beliefs.
So it's not just believe and it will be okay.
No. He defines faith as a positive, affirmative attitude developed through experiment and experience. Remember the boy on the high plank?
Yeah.
Faith is the practice that lets him walk that plank.
Yeah.
It's built, not just given. He compared it to writing the alphabet.
Writing the alphabet? How does that work?
Well, think about when a child learns to write. They join points to make lines, over and over, ABC. They don't write a novel on day one.
Right.
Similarly, you repeat small acts of courage to form a habit of fearlessness. You don't just become fearless. You build it letter by letter.
That makes it feel manageable. You don't have to be a hero today. You just have to write one letter.
Exactly.
But let's get really practical. The notes mention a statistic here that says 70% of our worries are actually financial. You can't just hiss at a bank overdraft fee.
No, you can't. And this is where Swami Jagadatmananda pivots from spiritual metaphors to hard-nosed economics. He argues that financial anxiety usually stems from a lack of awareness, not just a lack of funds.
Awareness how?
He suggests a practice called the financial diary.
Sounds a bit like standard budgeting advice.
It is, but with a mindfulness twist.
Mm.
It's not just about budgeting. It's about tracking exactly where the coins disappear, as he puts it.
Ah.
The act of writing it down forces you to confront your impulses. He actually points to Mahatma Gandhi as the ultimate example of this.
Gandhi. I don't usually picture him balancing a checkbook.
Oh, he was meticulous. Even when he was in Yeravada jail, the British government gave him a small allowance for supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Gandhi would track every penny, wash his own clothes to save on laundry fees, and get this, he would return the unspent balance to the jail authorities.
He gave the money back to the people who imprisoned him.
Yes, because for him, the freedom from needing the money was more powerful than the money itself.
That's a powerful idea.
The Swami's point is that if you control your needs, you control the worry. It's about realizing that needs are often just wants in disguise.
That's a powerful reframing. It's not about being stingy, it's about being free. But for the things we can't control, the really big stuff, like difficult people or inevitable tragedies, he offers what I'd call spiritual shortcuts.
Shortcuts is a fun way to put it, but they are deep practices. He talks about surrender. There's a story of a grandmother who had a terrible, difficult daughter-in-law.
A tale as old as time.
Truly. But instead of fighting it, the grandmother changed her perspective. She decided to view the daughter-in-law not as an enemy, but as a tool sent by God to purify her patience.
Wow.
She saw herself as gold being melted in a crucible. The heat was necessary to remove the impurities.
That is a level of mental jujitsu I'm not sure I've reached yet. But I can see how it removes the resistance. If the struggle is for you rather than against you, the stress just drops away.
Exactly. And then there's the story of Totapuri, Sri Ramakrishna's teacher. It's a bit esoteric, but stay with me.
Okay.
He encounters a Bhairava, a terrifying ghost or demigod spirit. Most people would run screaming.
I certainly would.
Todokuri just invites it to sit down and meditate.
Wait, he asks the ghost to pull up a cushion.
He does. Because he saw the ghost as just another manifestation of the Brahman, the universal soul. He recognized that the scary thing and himself were made of the same cosmic stuff.
So if everything is one, what is there to fear?
You got it. It's the ultimate hiss but don't bite moment.
Yeah.
He faced the scary thing and neutralized it by recognizing its true nature.
That leads us into the deepest water of this deep dive, the Swami's take on karma and reincarnation. This can be a controversial topic for some listeners.
It can be, yeah.
So how does he frame it?
He frames it not as fatalism, not, oh, I'm doomed because of my past, but as a law of cause and effect. He calls it boomerang karma.
What you throw out comes back.
Exactly. What you throw out into the world eventually circles back to hit you, which implies that if you stop throwing negativity, you can stop getting hit.
Makes sense.
And he touches on something interesting regarding the continuity of life. The source material actually references Edgar Cayce.
The sleeping prophet. That's an unexpected reference in a Swami's book.
It is, but he uses Cayce's readings on the Akashic records to support the idea that our past lives influence our present conditions. Now, whether you believe in literal reincarnation or not, the psychological tool here is powerful.
How so?
Well, if you believe in the continuity of life, that death is just casting off a garment, as the text says, it reduces the terror of death.
Oh.
If death isn't the end, but a transition, then the ultimate fear loses its teeth. It provides a cosmic view. When you look at your life through a lens of thousands of years, getting cut off in traffic seems pretty insignificant.
It's about zooming out, way, way out, until the current problem looks like a speck of dust.
Precisely.
So let's try to summarize what we've uncovered here. We started with the idea that the mind is a factory.
A factory that we need to retool.
We learned that worry and anger aren't just bad moods. They are physiological poisons. They give us ulcers and break our hearts literally.
And we learned about the snake. We need to hiss to set boundaries, but never bite and let hatred rot us from the inside.
Right. And we learned that fear is often just a misuse of our imagination, a plank that looks much higher than it really is.
And the solutions range from the practical, like tracking your pennies like Gandhi, to the spiritual, seeing your difficulties as a crucible, refining your gold.
It's a comprehensive toolkit, and what strikes me is the agency it gives you. The
Yeah.
mind is a machine. It's more powerful than any computer we have built. But we are the operators.
We choose the input.
We can choose to manufacture poison, or we can choose to manufacture ambrosia.
That is the big takeaway. We aren't victims of our thoughts. We are the architects of them. But,
Yeah.
and there is always a but,
What's the but?
there is one final thought from the source material that I found particularly provocative. It's something for all of you to really sit with as we wrap up.
Go for it.
The Swami points out that we spend hours on entertainment, TV, social media, distractions. We have time for Netflix. We have time for doom scrolling. But most of us struggle to find even 24 minutes a day for silence.
For prayer, for introspection.
Yes, 24 minutes. That's specific.
Why that number?
It's exactly 1/60th of a day. Just one tiny fraction.
Wow. Put that way, it sounds pathetic that we can't find the time.
And the question the text poses is this. If we cannot control our own minds for just 24 minutes out of 24 hours, are we really the masters of our own lives? Or are we just passengers in a vehicle that's driving itself off a cliff?
That is a haunting question to end on. Are you the master or just a passenger?
It's a challenge to find that 24 minutes, to reclaim the factory.
Well, on that note, we are going to leave you to find your 24 minutes today. And remember, out there in the world, hiss if you have to, but don't bite. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.